let me forget to change it to record to cloud when we go to the video. Well, good morning, everybody. Week number 9. Can you believe it? Look how many people have stuck with us. We've got 9 people left out of 60. That's real nice.
It's a tough book.
It is.
And I thought this week surely it'll get easier. It
No.
did not get easier, did it?
No.
I tell you what, it has been a burger, hasn't it? But this one has some different things on it, so it'll be interesting. I got from some of our nerdy people, I got some really interesting things. There's Lucille.
Now we have 10.
Put your mouthpiece down. Or you're chewing. I don't want to hear you chew. That's true.
Morning.
There's Claudia in a car with a scarf on. It is.
Yeah, it's a bit cold.
It's 65 degrees here.
Oh my goodness, I don't know. I'm not into Fahrenheit. I'm into
You're in the
degrees
UK.
Celsius.
Celsius.
No, I'm in Germany at the moment.
Oh, in Germany.
I'm a little bit in the UK. I'm a little bit in Germany. Now I am in Germany at the moment. Today it's a little bit warmer, but it was very cold. From 2 weeks ago, we had something like 25 degrees Celsius, and
that's below.
It went down to 3 degrees, which is really cold. 0 is freezing point. So
that's right. 0 and Celsius, like 32 degrees. Who came up with this 32 degrees? Wouldn't it be much easier to start at 0?
I don't know.
Celsius.
I know, right? I mean, it makes more sense, doesn't it? I mean, and it's like measuring, kilometers or whatever, meters and stuff and all that. It's based on 10. Where did we come up with 12?
We came up with 12.
Must be the British.
You don't blame it on the British. Sorry,
blame it on them.
It was.
Nice.
You could blame it on them.
No, you're not really from UK, are you?
Well,
no,
I was born, I don't claim it.
Sorry.
Yeah, she lives in UK. She's originally from Nigeria, right?
Well, you tell me. I was born here. My dad's Nigerian. My mom from Tobago.
Oh, sorry. You're from the UK.
Good morning.
Good morning, Helen. How are you?
Good, thank you.
We're making fun of where everybody's from, so sorry,
Oh, that's okay. Don't be sorry. It's nice to have fun once in a while.
Once in a while?
Oh, all the time. All the time.
I need.
It's good to be lighthearted.
I just keep up where I go.
Pardon me, Helen?
It's good to be lighthearted.
Absolutely. Show video panel. I cannot think right today. There y'all are. All right, we are. Yes.
Denise, I bought. You said I should do the covenant. I bought that material. I've just done day 1 or week 1, I should say, in one day.
Now,
so
part of the covenant. I have some videos at my YouTube on covenant.
Oh.
Okay.
Yes, I have located them. So I can look at these screen, these not PDF. What is it? These presentations that you have.
Yes.
These printed presentations.
PowerPoint.
Yeah.
Now they may be a little bit different
looking at those.
because we did it out of a different book, but it'll give you the general idea.
Okay.
And you will love it.
That's great.
You will love it. You're welcome.
Yes.
Well,
thank you for recommending it.
Oh yeah, because covenant. If you don't have covenant underneath your belt, you're missing a lot. When you all agree.
Yes.
Yeah. That's where everyone should start, instead of like me who started with Revelation. But that's another story.
Oh my.
Only Denise, right?
Well, that's good because you see the end in mind and you build the foundation afterwards because you know where you're going.
Well, Revelation scared the T-wadding out of me.
Uh,
Well, let's start off with prayer. Oh Lord, you are sovereign over all things, over life and death, over poverty and prosperity, over success and failure. You give us a grant of life and breath and time and resources to be used for your glory. And you take those away from us when so doing is for your glory. We acknowledge you as our rightful sovereign, agreeing with scripture that you not only have a right to do as you please, but that all you do is good and wise. We ourselves reserve not one iota of all the gifts you give, not even one sip of water or one breath of air. Indeed, we confess that we only deserve your wrath and judgment. Amen. That's a good beginning, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you get your at a glance chart, you can look at Ezekiel 1-3 was about God showed his glory to Ezekiel as a foundation for his prophecy book. It was in the fifth day of the fifth year, the 5th day of the 4th month of Jehoiachin's exile, which was in 592 BC. Ezekiel was sent to rebellious Israel exiles, appointed as a watchman to warn them of the coming judgment. Ezekiel 4-24 is a main segment of prophecies warning the exiles about the coming siege and destruction of Jerusalem, the siege of Ezekiel in 24:1 and 2. In Ezekiel 8:1, we have the 6th year on the 5th day of the 6th month, which was in 591 BC. Then in Ezekiel 20, we went to the 7th year, the 10th day, and the 5th month, which was 590 BC. And then in Ezekiel 24, which is where we're at today, we have the 9th year, the 10th day of the 10th something
month.
Thank you. I didn't put it all down, did I? Okay, so themes for 25 and 28, I'll just kind of go over these because we're going to go into them because this was this week's lesson. Ezekiel 25 is the prophecy against Ammon, Moab, Edom, and Philistines. The 26 is a prophecy against Tyre. Ezekiel 27 is the lamentation over Tyre, and Ezekiel 28 is the leader, the prince of Tyre, and Sidon. Okay? So you bring up all these different things, okay? And now we will start. It talks about all of these different tribes. Okay, they're tribes. So if you look at this, and I sent this to you in handouts, it's in there, the cousins of the Middle East. You have Noah, because it comes from Noah. You have Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Okay. From Shem comes Abraham and Lot. Abraham, you have Ishmael and Isaac. From Ishmael comes the Moabites. Isaac comes the Amorites. Esau is the Edomites, okay, and the Amalekites. And then you have Jacob, who is the lineage, right, of God. And then Abraham, you also have the Mennonites and Kenites. Does anybody remember who the Kenites are? How that happened?
They're the kids of Keturah.
Yes, very good. Yeah, his second wife. It's a very small part of the Bible, but Abraham, after Sarah died, did remarry, and he married whoever. Helen knows the words. Keturah, right, thank you. And they had 6 children. So, and then from Ham comes the Canaanites, the Sidonians, the Hittites, the Jebusites, the Amorites, the Girgashites, and the Hivites. And then Japheth comes the Philistines. And isn't it interesting that from Ham came the Egyptians too?
Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
Philistines.
Yeah, so this chart, I think, if you keep it when you're reading these chapters, it helps you figure out who belongs to who. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Isn't it
so
oh, sorry.
no, go ahead.
Isn't it the Jebusites, they went to Russia and the Philistines came from Ham, right? Right? Am I-
Philistines came from Ham. That is correct.
Yeah, so all of those people who are enemies of the Jewish people came from Ham.
That's correct.
Oh,
Wow.
And Ham is the one who did what? We looked at this last week.
Who look at his father's nakedness.
Yes, he looked at his father's nakedness. And then you have from Lot, how did you get the Moabites and the Ammonites? Does anybody
the
remember?
his daughters.
incestuous-
His daughters.
Yeah, his daughters got him drunk and had sex with him. I don't understand how that happened, but that's what the Bible says. Okay.
Times
Yeah.
were hard. Not getting that picture in my head.
I know. Isn't oh hi Cheryl S. It's nice to see you again. Or I'm not seeing you, but I saw your chat, okay? All right, so in the judgments against Ammon, okay, so Ammon is from Lot's area, right?
Mhm.
Someone is making a lot of side noise. You know, anything that you do at your desk, it picks up. Just remember that. So if you'll keep yourself muted if you're moving and shuffling papers, because I can hear every paper turn. Okay. All right. So the Ammonites, Ammon came from Lot, right?
Mhm.
Okay. So 1 through 7, what did we learn in 1 through 7? What do you find interesting, or I found funny, of how God put it? Because you said,
Aha.
aha, you said, aha, against my Israel. So what is he saying in just that statement?
Gloating.
Yeah, yeah, they're gloating. Ah, look what happened to Jerusalem. I mean, you know, that's what they're doing. They deserved it because they're just nasty people.
Mm.
Therefore, behold, I am going to give you the sons of the east, Babylon, right? And we looked at Genesis 1 through 12, 1 through 3, didn't we? What does Genesis 1 through that say? Is that? No,
They're
we
gonna
didn't.
be
No.
cursed.
Yeah, say that again, Eileen.
That they're gonna be cursed. Those who curse Israel.
It's going to be those who curse Israel would be cursed by God, right?
Right.
Rabbah is a city in Ammon, because you clapped your hands and stamped your feet and rejoiced against the land of Israel. They were rejoicing of Judah's destruction. Therefore, I will destroy you. And this is where the judgment comes from, right? Now, Ammon was also known for their idolatry, cruelty, pride, opposition to God's people. And that's all through the Bible. If you look at the notes that I sent you, it has all those different places that you can go and look and see exactly why God was really not happy with the Ammonites. Did you learn anything else in verses 1 through 7?
He destroyed them in verse 7. I shall cut you off from the peoples and make you perish from the lands. I shall destroy you. Thus, and then our famous slogan of the book, thus you will know that I am the Lord.
Yes, and I hope you're keeping those lists up because you will find it most helpful. Ben Amini was the father of the sons of Ammon. Moab and Ammon are part of the modern country of Jordan. Okay. And who was Lot?
The cousin.
The nephew,
of
I
the
thought.
nephew.
Yeah, and he was
Nephew.
Abraham's nephew.
Nephew, yes.
Yeah. Okay, then we went to verses 8 through 11. This is a judgment against Moab and Seir. So see, Moabites, Lot again. Seir is Sidonians, which is under the Canaanites. Okay. In Zechariah 2:8-9, it says, "For the Lord of hosts says this, He has sent me for glory against the nations who are plundering you. For anyone who touches you touches the pupil or the apple of his eye." That's exactly where that apple of his eye comes from. "I will move against them in my power, and they will become plunder for their own servants. Then you will know that the Lord of hosts has sent me." So this prophecy begins with both Moab and Seir, said Judah was like all the other nations. What did the Lord say about Moab?
Mm.
Mm. Mm.
That he would cause a nomadic tribe, a desert tribe, to overrun them.
Yes. Yeah. Then we go to verses 12-14, and this is the judgments against Edom. What do we learn about this? Seir is the place where Edom lived. It marks the southern part of modern Jordan.
And they will fall by the sword.
Yeah. They would be made waste by the sword, which is what God's, you compare that to Nebuchadnezzar used the sword to destroy Judah, Ammon, and Moab. He also says at some point Israel will take vengeance on Edom. This might have been 164 BC when the Israelite Maccabees subjugated Edom, or in 126 BC when John Hyrcanus led Israel against Edom. And again, who is Edom?
Descendants of Esau.
Yeah. And who
Ooh.
was, yeah, Esau, right? Do you remember
Yes.
Esau?
Mhm.
And he was the twin brother of who?
Jacob.
Of Jacob. They weren't identical twins, by the way. They were whatever it is when there's two eggs. So
Fraternal.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, Helen, you're so smart. So
No.
Esau's descendants were the nation of Edom. That was Helen, right?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. She sends me some of the neatest things, y'all. I just okay. So in verses 15-17, this is the judgment against the Philistines. Now we move over here, and the Philistines are directly out of Ham, right?
Mhm.
Mm.
And why would they receive God's vengeance? Because he uses the word because a lot in this area.
Mhm.
They acted in revenge.
I'm sorry, Kathy, I didn't catch all that.
I said they acted in revenge. They scorned the people of
Of Israel.
Mhm.
And sought
Yeah.
to destroy them. Yeah.
The ones that wouldn't let them pass, yeah, aren't they?
Pardon me.
Which ones wouldn't let them pass?
Moses, they're the ones that wouldn't let Moses.
Yeah, back in the days of Moses, Moses asked them permission to go through their lands. So he just wanted to go through their lands and stuff. And they said, nope,
No,
you know,
Right.
and God remembers those things.
Mhm.
So how did this kind of talk encourage the Israelites?
I guess they have to be obedient to God in order to receive his blessings. Otherwise, they will be like Edom. Right?
Well, kind of.
And they're the descendant
If
of
you hear that somebody's going to get judgment from God, how do you feel?
I feel encouraged.
Encouraged, yes. Ha! They're going to get it in the end. And so how does that encourage us? And I don't mean this being mean, okay?
This is proof that it's true that in the end, God does seek and declare judgment and justice.
Yeah. He is the just judge, right?
Mm-hmm.
Vengeance
So-
is, says the Lord.
Yeah, the judge, vengeance is mine, saith the Lord, is what she was saying. So how do you see what's going on in Israel right now?
Wow. What I see is nobody seems to be paying attention to that principle.
Boy, isn't that the truth, Mary?
Isn't Gaza where the Philistines lived?
It's Philistia.
Yeah, I mean, it's even right down to the very same acreage.
Yeah, but that's not the Philistines have been wiped out.
Oh yeah, yeah, but I mean, it's like in the ground. The hate for Israel and its own.
I know, it's really unbelievable how much hatred is coming out right now, isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
I just find it really quite remarkable. Don't y'all?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's bled over into America now very seriously.
Yeah.
I'm seeing who's here. Hi, Susan. Susan's the one who sent me the stuff on the boats. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty serious of what's going on.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's interesting. All right, here's this little picture of Tyre. And see what in the scripture we're reading that nobody could get over here and whoop on them, okay? Right?
Mm-hmm.
You had the Assyrians, you had the Babylonians, and nobody could whoop them, right? Who eventually did get to them, and how did they do it?
Alexander the Great built a bridge, rocks and
All their trash.
yeah.
And see, what they did was they built this area, and then they went in and they conquered Tyre. I mean, if you read your history books on this, it's really interesting.
Yeah.
Over here is the island of Hercules, now submerged. I mean, it's really, but see this area right here, that strip of stuff, they
Yes.
just built that so they could just walk right over there. And that's the only way they could get to Tyre. So why is God against Tyre? And this is in, oh, I forgot to do, man, I knew I wasn't doing well on this, but we'll just go with it. Why was God against Tyre in 1-6 on
Because
chapter 26?
he claimed to be God. He said, I'm a God.
They were very prideful and arrogant.
Mm-hmm. And when Jerusalem fell once again, they rejoiced in greed because they had been competitors of Israel for the trade routes. They were controlling the sea, but Israel controlled the caravan trade routes.
Right.
And the downfall of Israel, they thought that they would prosper, and they were glad to see Israel have problems.
Yeah. Now, as I said before, they were great seamen. I mean, there's stories. Susan sent me. Susan, are you there? Are you just not talking to us today?
I'm here. I'm here.
Okay. Well,
I'm cooking breakfast.
oh, I'm sorry. I'm interrupting breakfast. Shame on me.
No. It's fine. Thank you. I had fun with this.
Yeah, tell us just a little bit of why you had fun with this.
Well, I was thinking about ships and how how the world was populated. And I thought, oh, how did people get around? And I thought, well, Noah was a shipbuilder, and it was a duh moment.
Mhm.
And then I thought, of course, the Phoenicians could sail. They were known for that. So how far could they sail? And what kind of ships did they have? So I went down a very, very deep rabbit hole looking at Phoenician ships and where they would go. And they could go all the way around to Africa, which I
Yeah.
thought was really interesting.
Yeah, they were the first ones to go around the Horn of Africa. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
They founded Carthage.
Pardon me?
They founded Carthage, which is in North Africa,
Yeah.
which is another big empire at some stage.
So she was, I mean, so they carried all sorts of things, and they did a lot of international trading, didn't they?
Mhm.
Yes. Mhm.
And what did the east wind in verse 26 mean? Did anybody look that up?
Mine said Babylon.
Yeah. Yeah. Babylon was going to come in. Just 27. Okay,
Actually-
just thinking of here. Okay. Is this where we, no, not. The ship goes down and you will cease forever. One point came up in your mind in this chapter, because it's kind of an interesting chapter. It's like, you know, look at all the wealth.
Mhm.
And prosperity.
Yeah. And he talks about their customers in Damascus and Dedan and Arabia, you know, the traders of Sheba and Ramah. They traded with you. They paid for your wares and the best of all kinds of spices. So there was a lot of trading, and this is where a lot, and because of these boats, they would carry all this stuff in these boats, and these boats are remarkably made. When you study about the boats, these boats would go around the Horn of Africa, which is a very dangerous place to go if you've read anything about it, because the winds, I guess, are just crazy at that point, aren't they?
Mhm.
But what came up in my mind in this chapter was how all the international trade is going on now.
Yeah.
Mm.
You know, and or especially like with China. I mean, it almost sounds like they're talking about China, doesn't it?
Why do you say
The
that?
story is that our God is greater and bigger, and it doesn't matter how prosperous or well they seem to be doing economically.
The reason I say that, Claudia, is I don't know how it is where you are, but practically everything you pick up in America, it says what?
Made in
China.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's the same here.
Yeah.
Same thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand what you mean now.
Yeah. They were talking about the wisdom. The wisdom of this world is folly with God, for it is written, He catches the wise in their craftiness.
Mhm.
And then we looked at Daniel 10. Why did we look at Daniel 10?
I don't know.
You don't know. Well, that's a good, honest answer, isn't it?
I
Oh, we're on chapter 28. Let me see. Daniel 10 was a vision, a message of great conflict, war, a vision of spiritual beings. Michael was called a prince, one of the chief
Oh, yeah,
princes. And Daniel's prince, the prince of Daniel's people of Israel. Michael is an angelic being. There's also the king and prince of Persia. The vision was during the earthly reign of Cyrus, king of Persia. The prince of Persia had withstood the man dressed in linen for 21 days, the length of time Daniel was mourning and fasting. So they're spiritual, what they're describing here is spiritual princesses that are behind these different countries.
Yeah.
Okay. Michael helped the man in linen against the prince of Persia. So the man in linen came to Daniel to tell him what would happen to his people in Israel in the latter days. When he left Daniel, he said he would fight the prince of Persia, and the prince of Greece was about to come. The Greeks were the ones who defeated the Persians.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, Denise, I understand that, but why did we bring up Daniel 10 when he's in the middle of talking about Tyre? I don't see the correlation
Because
between Persia
they're
and Tyre.
talking about the princes and the spiritual beings behind the scenes.
Okay, so it really had nothing to do with Tyre at all.
Well, there's
Well,
a prince of
actually,
Tyre.
yeah,
There's a
the
prince of Tyre.
I think
yeah,
it's talking
in that
about
chapter.
the same common thread that caused the downfall of pride is the
Oh, yeah.
cause of the downfall of Tyre and also of the bad angels. Pride is the mother or the parent of all the sins of people in the fallen nature. So that's a common thread that cause people to be proud of themselves, that they call themselves God and they want to be like God. So basically they are pretty much the reason for their pride.
Yes.
Okay.
Because like if you in Matthew Henry's commentary, it says Ethabal, Baal. What does that remind you of? Baal.
Baal.
Yeah, he was a nasty god, right?
Right.
Was the prince of Tyre or king of Tyre, and being lifted up with excessive pride, he claimed divine honors. Pride is particularly the sin of our fallen nature. Nor can any wisdom except that which the Lord gives lead to happiness in this world, or the one that is to come. The haughty prince, I love that word, haughty. Prince of Tyre thought he was able to protect his people by his own power and considered himself equal to the inhabitants of heaven. If it were possible to dwell in the Garden of Eden or even to enter heaven, no solid happiness could be enjoyed without a humble, holy, spiritual mind. Especially all spiritual pride is of the devil, who those who indulge therein must expect to perish. So what it's saying is basically the devil's behind everything. When we read, let's see here. Well, if you look, a lot of people, okay, this gets to verses 11 through, on chapter 28, I think it's 11 through 19. It says, Son of man, take up a lamentation over the king of Tyre and say to him, Thus saith the Lord, you had the seal of perfection, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. If you compare it to Isaiah 14:12 through 15, now not all theologians agree on this, but some compare it to Isaiah 14:12 through 15, which is, oh, how you have fallen, O man, O star of the morning, son of the dawn. You have been cut down to the earth. You have weakened the nations. But you said in your heart, I will ascend to heaven. I will raise my throne above the stars of God. I will sit on the mount of assembly in the recesses of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will make myself like the Most High. Nevertheless, you will be thrust down to Sheol, to the recesses of the pit. A lot of people compare this to Ezekiel's 11 through 19. And who are they talking about, if you follow this theory?
The devil?
The devil, yes, the fall of Lucifer.
Yeah.
Now, not all of them do, okay? Some people say, no, it's just the king of Tyre was full of himself and God was saying, you're full of yourself. Do you see the difference? This is where I'm not God. I don't know the matter of it. To me, it sounds a lot like Satan. What do y'all think?
I thought it was Satan.
You think it's Satan too?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
And then how does Revelation 20 and Matthew 25:15 or 41 fit in these two verses? Let me see here. Did you guys even look those up? Oh yeah, you did. Revelation 20, then I saw an angel coming down from heaven, holding the king of the abyss and a great chain in his hand. And he laid hold of the dragon, the serpent of old, who is the devil and Satan, and bound him for 1,000 years.
Yes.
Okay, and then 27 through 20 is when the 1,000 years are completed, Satan will be released from his prison and will come out to deceive the nations. And, you know, there we go through it all again. You have Gog and Magog gathered the war. And the devil who deceived them was thrown into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are also, and they will be tormented day and night forever and ever. And then in Matthew 25:41, then he said, he will also say to those on his left, depart from me, accursed ones, into the eternal fire, which has been prepared for the devil and his angels. This is where God prepared the lake of fire for the devil and his angels. He did not originally, he did not want human beings to have to go into that lake of fire, did he?
No.
No.
But he has to make judgment because, and if you look at the world, don't you see people that have turned to the devil instead of God?
Mhm.
Actually, I looked up this thing about that king of Tyre a little more, and he's called Ethbal or something. And it reminded me of Jezebel. She's actually also from that house of Ethbal. And her own father was called Ethbal. She's from the same place. And that man actually killed his predecessor. And as we know, Jezebel encouraged Ahab, the king of the north, northern Israel, to actually kill Naboth for the vineyard. They basically, she's just as violent as her father. And they act like Baal actually means Lord. They act like the Lord's over everything, God over everything, life and death. So they were actually just as greedy. You know, what was it, Tyre that said, aha, we can get stuff here now. It is just the same as Jezebel, who said, just kill him off and grab the land. I thought that was interesting that her father was called the same as the king of Tyre, who was the king at that stage, which the Bible talks about at that point.
Yeah.
It's something, and because you see that there was something I had here. I was going to go through my notes. Herod was an Edomite, and he okay. I wanted to tell you that. And that was the mean Herod. Well, all the Herods were, you know, but the main guy, he was an evil dude. Let me tell you.
But how did he become the ruler of the Jews?
Pardon me?
How did he become King Herod in Judah?
Anybody know that? I do. Does anybody else know that?
Did the Romans appoint him to that position?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, the Romans appointed him.
He was not an Israelite.
His father
he was an
was already
Edomite.
a political maneuverer.
Yeah, it was totally political. Let's see here. Tyre and Sidon is Lebanon today. Tyre gets 3 chapters. I'm just reading through my notes to see what hell. Let's see here.
Isn't it Lebanon has beautiful cedar that's built the
Lebanon cedar, yeah.
Yeah, Temple of Solomon, right?
Yeah.
Scraping the rocks off the old city, Alexander in 322 BC made a new road to the island. It was, by the way, 1/2 mile long and 200 feet wide. Known today as Paris of the Middle East. It has great nightlife, great buildings and resorts.
Who's this, Lebanon? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here is a picture, pictured us merchant ships that I showed you. Some things that were on the ship: silver, precious and strong metals, ivory, jewels, slaves, fine food and wine, international trade. Do you think they needed God?
They didn't think so.
Exactly. You got it, Kathy. They
I'm sorry.
didn't think so because they thought they were God, didn't they?
Oh.
Mhm.
And they were in the slave trade, right?
Mm-hmm.
They were in the slave trade too.
Yes.
Traded the
Mhm.
souls of men, it says.
Yep. So what have you learned about God, especially when it says, "Then you will know that I am God.
I am
I am the
God.
Lord."
He means what he says.
You think?
Yeah.
I think in spite of all the worldly pride and possessions, there's no way that they can go equal or over God, because God is far above any human rich. Right?
Right, their
Mhm.
riches.
Mhm.
Actually, God also holds other nations to his standards. He didn't give them his laws, but he holds them to his standards also. You can't be arrogant. You can't rejoice over somebody's demise. So he actually keeps them also to his rules, really. He's the judge of all the nations. I think it says somewhere that the other nations didn't have the Mosaic law, but they have a conscience. So the conscience tells them the same stuff, essentially.
Hey, Denise, back in David and Solomon's time, I thought I read something that the king of Tyre at that time was friendly to them, gave them stuff to build the temple with, maybe some of those cedars. Did anybody else read that?
They did get the cedar from Lebanon. That is true.
Yeah.
But they paid for it.
Oh, well, I'm sure they did, but it doesn't sound like at this point they could have done that. I mean, Hiram, I think Hiram of Tyre. And anyway, maybe I hallucinated it, but then
No,
after
you know a lot more about history than I do, so go for it.
oh no, just that after Solomon finished the temple and everything, after Solomon's reign, things deteriorated after that, and they were not friendly anymore, I believe.
Well, I think it's like today, anybody will be friendly with someone if they can make money off of them.
Mhm.
Well,
True.
that could very well be. But at
And at
least,
that time, Solomon had, David had a lot of money, and David bought all that stuff for Solomon to build the temple.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, then Solomon screwed up too.
yes, we know that from reading our.
But also, Denise,
Yes,
but also,
Lucille.
Denise, in this chapter here, what I have learned is, and I go back all the time, is the word in the time of Isaiah and all the prophets seem to have a more stronghold and meaning than seems like the word has got watered down as it moved forward. He did what Isaiah said the Lord would do in the days of the prophesied of Isaiah. Today, currently coming forward into the current century, is that I don't think a lot of people put a lot of emphasis nowadays on the power of the Word of God. Even though our churches are preaching, that's fine, that's good. But you have so many millenniums, so many people who still just don't get it.
Well, they don't believe in
And you
God.
don't, right, and you don't see God. Well, you don't see people acting on God's behalf, lining people up and eliminating people. Back there in those days, the authority actually rests in the hands of the leaders, and they choose who will live and who will die according to the prophecy of the word of the prophets. So I don't know. It's just my
Well,
convoluted
most of
feedback.
the leaders back then didn't follow God. They did evil in the sight of God. How many times does God say that in the Bible?
Quite a few times. Quite a few
Yeah,
times.
yeah. And I don't
Quite a
see,
few times.
it's okay. I'm going to say it. Nothing's new under the sun.
Yes, Steve.
Yeah.
That's good.
Okay. Yeah, that was from the study of, oh, what was that?
Ecclesiastes.
Ecclesiastes, yes. Oh, that was a tough one. But boy, I didn't realize how many times it said nothing is new under the sun. I mean, you just watch the news and the more you learn about the Bible, you can see how much more true that really is. Don't you think?
Yes.
But if you
Yes.
don't read the Bible and if you don't
Yes. Yes.
study the Bible, because you have to study, if you just read it, you can go, it's just going to go over your head, isn't it?
Yep.
Mhm.
That's why I love
Yes.
the
Yes.
precept
Yes.
method of
Yes.
studying, because it brings all the different parts. I mean, we've gone from Genesis to Revelation just in this week's lesson.
True.
Yes.
I mean, seriously. So, you bring it all together, and leaders haven't changed. They still want to, did anybody
Mhm.
watch the news and what Biden did yesterday? And I'm sorry if you like Biden, I apologize for picking on. No, I don't apologize. I pick on him because he's sitting there talking about abortion, promoting abortion, and then he does the sign of the cross.
Oh,
Well, Denise, I'm sorry. I don't want to go back to the old stuff, but I just have to say it again. I am still dealing with the million plus abortions statistically that was done in 2023 that caught my attention.
Yes,
Okay?
I know.
Not that abortions hasn't been done in the past at a high number, but that caught my attention,
Well,
which to
yeah.
me sounds like horrendous,
Yes. Yes.
horrendous.
It's yeah. And then to say, oh, how God's going to look bad because we aren't allowing abortion more. I don't think so.
No. Mm.
Well, next week will be our last class on Ezekiel. I don't know about you, but I'm going, yay!
Yep.
Now on Ezekiel part 2, it starts on August 16th. Now, so far, I don't have many new people. If we don't have too many new people, we'll just start with the first lesson, if that's all right with you all.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, because part 2 is something usual people will say, well, I haven't done part 1,
Right.
or if they've done part 1,
Well,
they don't really need an introduction.
yeah.
Pardon me?
Well, Denise, I'm not going to take part 2. I'm going to take a break.
What's the matter
I'm
with
just
you?
not ready to dive in. I'm not ready to dive in part 2. I'm not ready. And
Well,
so
part 2,
I'm just going
actually,
to hold on.
part 2 is a whole lot different than part 1.
Okay.
It's about prophecy of the future.
Oh,
Rachel, and
okay. Okay. Let me sleep on it. Okay.
Well, it's not to August, so you have the whole summer to dream about Ezekiel. Actually, what I would suggest, if you are kind of teetering, okay, in your spare moments, okay, just read through Ezekiel, and you'll sit there and you go, now what the heck does any of that mean? Seriously,
like
you will, because
Revelation.
it will make no sense to you at all. Because it's It's something, but it'll be chapters 33 into the end. And then I think, in that the last couple, it's just all measurements.
Much.
But
Actually,
I will tell you, it's really interesting when you dig into it and study it. Right, Barb?
Yeah, what I do is I highlight all the who, what, when, where, big words on my olive tree on my iPad. So I go through before we even get started. I use the break time to go through and do some highlighting of the words. And then when it comes time to meet with you guys, then we get to look at dictionaries and do the workbook and all. It's a lot easier that way.
Yeah, it is. But I always, I wish Evelyn has this routine, where she just sits there and listens and listens and listens to the scripture before she starts studying it. And I go to sleep, and Ezekiel puts me to sleep really fast. Okay.
Oh, really?
Oh man, I just go right out. The only problem is I wake back up dreaming,
It's funny, not funny of what you said, but it has another effect on me when I read Ezekiel. It's like it wakes me up because it's so difficult. You have to go through different pages and make references, and I have the Precept Bible, and oh, this is such a blessing. I went to a thrift shop and I saw this Bible that's $3, and I opened it up. It's the Precept Bible.
No, really?
Yeah, I was so happy. I say I have one before, but I can't find it. And I said, and my husband told me, if you buy this shirt or you buy this Bible, you can only buy one. I say, there goes the shirt. I'm buying the Bible, $3.
Oh my gosh, because they sell for like what, $65 now?
Right, they are so expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow,
So what
where'd
a
everybody
blessing. I'm
go?
so happy.
How many people? We've lost people since the first of the class?
One, Luke, just one.
Two.
I don't know who
Just
it was.
one?
Still, I think
I
got
lost-
out a couple of times, and then luckily she came back.
Well, my Thursday class was supposed to join us today, but I don't see any of them.
Yeah, Jane didn't join.
Yeah.
Well, Evelyn was supposed to be here because I've shut down my Thursday class. Only 2 people were showing up, so and plus I gotta start taking it easy, you guys. Were you gonna say
Right.
something, Kathy?
Yes, you do.
We're hoping Debbie Morris will be able to be back in August.
Okay, good.
Her business got to where she had to work all the time, so.
Well, let me stop recording here. Where's